Hi there, my name's Simon from CramTheExam.com and welcome to another English exam question walkthrough where I choose an English exam question and I walk you through it, explaining what the answers are and why the answers are the answers, at least why I think the answers. And hopefully, if you got one of the answers wrong, then you'll listen to my explanation, understand why the correct answer is the correct answer, learn, develop your skills, and then the next time you'll be better prepared for the next time you do this exam question. And hopefully, if you practice enough and listen to my videos enough before you go to the exam, you'll be in a much better position. This question we're going to have a look at is an FCE Use of English Part 3 question, word formation question, and you can find this question on the excellent website flojo.co.uk. There's a link to flojo.co.uk and this question in the video description below, so make sure you go and check it out. There are plenty of resources for not just the FCE but for the CAE and other English exams as well. Okie dokie, word formation, I'm sure you know all about it by now. You're trying to change the stem word into the correct word to fit the grammatical and logical pattern of the sentence, whether it's a noun, adjective, adverb, whatever else it might be. Of course, you've got to read around the text to work out what kind of word you need. Then there's a question of vocabulary skills to see if you know what that word is. Of course, before you start doing the question, read through the question first. Get a good idea of the context. What's the article about? Who's involved? Are we talking about any humans? Is there any interactivity between human and human or human and thing? Is it just a story? Etc, etc. The context is really important because it'll help you get yourself mentally in the right place. Now, one thing to say just before we start, one thing to show you, and that is this. This is the answer sheet for the FCE Use of English paper. I think the CAE's got 8 questions on now. So this is the FCE Use of English paper. As you can see on the first page, you've got part 1, part 2. And then on behind my head, you've got part 3, part 4, 5, 6, and 7 just over my shoulder. These are the reading questions. Why do I want you to use this? Well, not only do you have to practice your skills before doing the exam questions, you also have to practice getting used to the answer sheet. The answer sheet has got specific instructions about how to fill it in, and the worst thing you can do is lose marks because you didn't follow the instruction when filling in the answer sheet. So first of all, let's have a look at some of these instructions. Use a pencil, not a pen. Use a pencil, and then you can rub out any mistakes that you make with an eraser or a rubber. Specific instructions for 1, 5 and 6. Mark one letter for each question, and it shows you how. I know this is a bit like holding your hand, maybe I'm overstating this a little bit, but you wouldn't believe the amount of people who make mistakes with this. You've got to colour in the little box below the letter to identify that as the letter you have chosen. You're not circling, you're not crossing, you're not ticking. This is the wrong way to identify an answer. The only correct way is to colour in one of those boxes. And then you've got specific instructions for parts 2, 3 and 4. Write your answer clearly in capital letters. Of course, 1 letter per box. So you can see here, this is part 3. This is what we're going to have a look at today. And so in pencil, capital letters, 1 letter per box. If you get that right and practice it now, make sure that you know what you're doing before the exam, you're going to put yourself in a better place. The last thing you need when you walk into the exam hall is to stress yourself over an answer sheet that looks a little bit strange with specific instructions. So make sure that you get all of that out of the way before you do the exam, which is why I want you to download it and print it off. There's a link in the video description below, so make sure you do that, print it off, and the next time you do a use of English question, put your answers on the answer sheet. Okay, let's go back to the question. Kitchen hygiene. Let's have a look at the example just for a bit of fun. The next time you go to the supermarket, don't forget to buy the bottle of kitchen cleaner. So here we've got an article, here we've got a noun, here we need an adjective, But not just an adjective, we need a superlative. So buy the biggest bottle of kitchen cleaner you can. Of course, when we've got a superlative, we have to use an article. That article has to be there. We can't say bigger in this case. Buy the bigger bottle of kitchen cleaner. You can if there is a contrast, because you're comparing. Comparatives are used to compare one thing with another. And here, there's nothing to compare it against. We're just talking about one bottle of kitchen cleaner. So here, we need to use the superlative. You can to infect your work surfaces. Here we've got two, which indicates that we need a bare infinitive here to form the full verb. But the stem word is a verb, infect. So what do we do here? Well, the context is important, because the context tells us that we're not trying to make the work surfaces dirtier, we're trying to make the work surfaces cleaner, which means that we need to add a negative prefix to the front of this verb to make a new one. You can see over my head the answer that we need is disinfect your work surfaces. Recent research in America has shown that the kitchen is often the most of all the rooms in the home. Now, we've got a slightly strange structure here, because we've got an article, we've got a quantifier. The quantifier has to quantify something. Then this something is talking about rooms. So this something must be an adjective of some kind. But we have to think of the context, because if we're just thinking of adjectives, we might think of hygienic. So recent research in America has shown that the kitchen is often the most hygienic of all of the rooms in the house. But that doesn't fit the context. So what we've got to do here is add the correct negative prefix to give us our negative adjective. Just as we had to put a negative prefix to create the correct verb here, we have to use the correct negative prefix here. So this would then become, as you can see over my head, unhygienic. For question number 3, the something of food. So easy here, we need a noun. We've got an article. All articles need nouns, and this one doesn't have any, because what follows next is a preposition and then lots of other nouns. So combine has to become a noun, and that noun is, as you can see, combination. The combination of food, heat and dampness means the kitchen is something, a breeding ground for bacteria. What do we need here? What we need here is an adverb. And we need that adverb to modify what? Adverbs modify two different things. Adverbs modify verbs, or adverbs modify adjectives. And here there are no adjectives, because what follows is a breeding ground for bacteria, and then we've got kitchen as well. Now, we can't modify any of these nouns, because as I said, adverbs modify adjectives and verbs. So what is this modifying? Well, this is modifying the verb is, because otherwise it would say means the kitchen is a breeding ground for bacteria that can cause stomach upsets and vomiting, which is rather definitive. It's rather certain. But the context here is not saying that it is, but that it might be. So this adverb that we need needs to modify this verb. And the adverb that we need is, as you can see above my head, potentially. The study at the University of Arizona examined 15 homes over 30 weeks. Levels of something were certainly not below average. Generally speaking, with this question, when you see of before a gap, as you do in this case, you're going to need a noun here. You're going to get a noun. In above 95% of cases, it's instantly a clue. But of course, don't take that as gospel. Read through the sentence and make sure that you're going to need a noun. And certainly a noun best fits here. And the noun of clean is, as you can see over my head, cleanliness. Were certainly not below average, yet cutting boards and dishcloths were found to contain bacteria. Remember, bacteria is singular and plural, so please don't say bacterias, just bacteria, in far greater number than elsewhere in the home. Now, research say ignorance is the cause of the problem. Now, you can say that research tells us something, or you can use other structures with research, but here, this verb is say. that must mean that research must be a noun, but it must be a personal noun. In other words, this noun must refer to humans, because humans say things, don't they? Of course. And because we've got subject-verb agreement, we know that this is going to be researchers, and we can see this above my head as well. So researchers say ignorance is the cause of the problem and point out that something cleaning. So once again, we've got our noun here. Before nouns, we need an adjective to modify that noun. Adequate is an adjective, but of course, just like we need for the first two questions, we need a negative prefix because the context determines that we do, because it's saying that cleaning which isn't good enough. In other words, this is inadequate cleaning. So that's our negative prefix adjective. And for question number 8, what we've got here is a very, very, very short sentence, or not even a sentence, it's a question. We've got an article, there is no noun, we need a noun, and this is making a general statement. So we don't need a plural form here, a singular form will suffice, and that of course is solution. And there we go. That's why I think the answers are the answers. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, I'd love to hear about it, so please leave a comment below in the comment section and I will get back to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. There are plenty more videos on my channel for both the FCE and CAE, so make sure you check it out, and I'll see you again in another video soon.